Hello, my name is Bryce Tubbs. With me today is Enpo too. He's the Chief Operating Officer at My Financial Coach. He helps build out his company so that they are able to fulfill all of their digital financial goals. I'm super excited to be able to share this conversation with you. And thank you so much for your time today, Enpo.
Absolutely, Bryce. Happy to be on.
Excellent. What was life like before you really got into this journey? And really, what was the catalyst that brought you into the financial industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was younger, my parents always thought that I was really good in terms of managing things. They used to tell me a funny story where I would go to school with a few Pokemon cards, come back with a bunch of them, and I mean, ever since I was young, I've always been interested in not just coming away with more stuff, obviously, but also how best am I able to make do with what I have and then expand it if I can. Uh, I guess the catalyst was I was working at Bank of America, and there were a lot of opportunities for me. You go to the bank and there's opportunities to work as a bank manager, to go into mortgages, to go and uh, even do business management and uh, do some loan origination. However, what really attracted me was the idea that there was an individual who not only had tools available to help everyone, but they were able to really make a difference with every transaction. And they would go right to that person, and it was the financial advisor that was sitting at Merrill. And for me, I knew right away I wanted to get my Series 765, start managing money if I could. And it really wasn't until I ended up becoming a financial advisor uh, that I realized I didn't feel that I knew enough. I felt that I needed to know more. So every day, if ever I had the opportunity, I would go out there, I would take CE courses, I would go and do due diligence meetings. And finally, what ended up happening was I pursued my CFP. I got that squared away. And it wasn't until I got the CFP that I realized, oh, well, that's not enough either. And so I kept going and going and going. And it's really been a lifelong learning experience for me where you go from just feeling as if you know nothing, to knowing that you know nothing, and then from there building out. And I've just been very fortunate. I currently hold my master's in financial services, and I can tell you that there's a lot of things that if someone hadn't told me when uh, either through books or through a CE course, it's not that I wouldn't have been unable to grasp the concept. It's when they say it, you go, aha, okay, well, I just didn't know that. And I feel that oftentimes we're arming people to play the real life game of Monopoly, but we don't explain the rules to them, and the rules keep changing all the time, and no one bothers to explain how the rules work. And it's just hard because you're going around the board trying to make things work for yourself, but you never stop to understand the rules, so you kind of just spin around in circles.
Mhm. So, what is the first step to learn the rules?
Well, I think it goes down to this. You have to want to know the rules. You have to say, okay, I can go around the board as many times as I can. I can run around this board collecting my 200, or am I going to sit down and am I going to learn? How am I going to actually start acquiring property? How am I able to be more strategic, be more defensive, depending on what I see coming up ahead? Am I, for example, about to roll up on hotels? And that's the sort of mentality that people develop slowly. And so the desire to want to learn the rules, and then from there, the desire to want to understand better strategies, between that, just that desire, and from that point forward, working on the execution is going to be what moves the needle. Because even now, I don't know everything. There's things that I learn about every day. I'm very fortunate that at my financial coach, I would say, go a mile wide and we go only a quarter of a mile deep with all of our CFP knowledge, master's knowledge, etc. We can only go probably about a quarter of a mile deep, But for those people that have lived in the world of insurance their whole life or lived in the world of investments their whole life, they actually have very interesting strategies that they've either developed in-house or they've patented. And that's where we get that mild, deep conversation. So even today, I'm still learning. How is it that individuals are able to go in there, put interesting conservation trusts in place, how they're able to put together interesting business arrangements, do stock hedging without actually doing hedging. It's there are just things that you would never know existed until someone told you. But even then, that shouldn't be a barrier. It shouldn't be, oh, well, I can't know everything, so I should know nothing. It should be, okay, well, I only know what I know. And then going forward, I want to learn more and then keep learning. And it's that mentality, developing that mentality that moves you forward.
So let's say someone watching is saying, okay, I want to learn. Where would a place, where's the first place they should not go to learn what to do?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, oftentimes, whenever an individual is trying to build better money habits, or if they're trying to learn through, I guess, their own research, oftentimes you'll go to Google. And I think I once saw a coffee mug that said something along the lines of, I'm glad that your Google search is better than my medical degree, or something like that. where,
Right.
where if you want to learn something, you Google it, and then it turns out that whatever you Googled is probably going to be your answer. And then you say, well, I did research, and it might not be research, because if you and I both go to, let's say, a medical seminar for surgeons to learn how to do open heart surgery, and we're sitting in a room full of surgeons, we all listen to the same thing, but they're going to get way more out of it than you and me.
Mhm.
They're going to take those techniques back, and they're going to be able to actually do something with them. And so I would say that even going to seminars to learn about Roth conversions, and uh, a lot of these webinars that are essentially, well, I could say more suited to people that are actively engaged in either financial advisory or already have some base knowledge. Uh, that's probably going to be more suitable for them. But for those individuals who want to learn, I would say try to avoid things that are overly technical, that are overly focused, and that won't really help you build that basic foundation. Because if you want to get started, you shouldn't go to the advanced courses right away. Try to learn some of the basics and try to get that solid first.
Mhm. How do some people, okay, so some people really don't know where they're starting out. They might
Huh?
think that they know more about money than what they actually do. So how can you start to build that awareness of where you actually are at?
Well, I think that there's a lot of opportunities for individuals to learn and to kind of test where they are in terms of their knowledge just by looking at your bank account, probably, or your 401k or your IRA. And I think that it's an interesting scorecard, right? So if, for example, you have a bunch of student loans, if you have a bunch of credit cards, if you have a bunch of mortgages, if you have a few car payments, perhaps you shouldn't be learning about mega Roth IRAs, or you probably shouldn't be learning about how to uh, put money away tax free and take it out in a way that millionaires do it. Perhaps that should be a clear barometer that, okay, so I need to work on cash flow management. I need to learn about individual savings versus spending, and I also need to maybe even credit counseling. So I think you know where you're at financially at any given time. If you're, for example, on payday loans, if you have revolving credit card loans, you probably know where you're at.
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate that these individuals oftentimes get preyed upon because they're looking for a way out. They're looking for that magic silver bullet that solves all of their financial worries. And so they go and they'll pay for seminars, they'll go in and and try all of these magical financial instruments that are going to set them up. But really, it's about forming good money habits. It's about understanding that if you're looking at your finances and going, okay, well, this is where I'm at. Now I need to go learn how to solve some of these problems. You probably know if you go to a doctor, for example, for your annual checkup, they'll ask, so do you feel hot? Do you feel cold? Does it hurt when I do this, et cetera, et cetera? You'll know that oftentimes they're asking you to self-report. And so if you act as doctor for yourself, or if you hire someone to act as doctor, just kind of go through that list. So do I have credit card debts? Do I have cash flow issues? Do I have a lot of money saved up, or do I not? And then once those are taken care of, then you can think, okay, well, I'm in a position to do something now. What is it that I'm going to do now? What are some ways to grow my money? And then you can maybe start going to some seminars and things of that nature. And of course, if you want to hire someone to help you with that, try to find someone who's qualified and understand how they're compensated. I mean, there are plenty of individuals who will teach you with the expectation that based on what they just taught you, you'll get something from them, and and then that's how they're paid. So at least being aware of that and understanding how people are being compensated, what's their business model, and as they say, if something's free, oftentimes you're the product.
Yeah, that's a funny one. Just kind of switching gears,
Hmm?
what's the vision either for your life or as far into the future as you'd like to go?
Well, for me, my CEO and I are very good friends, and he is definitely one of those people who build companies and really wants to see things grow. So as COO, I'm here as the conductor, so to speak. He's the composer. And my hope and expectation based on our conversations is I will continue to act as that conductor. And then as he builds more trust in me, as we build the foundations of this company, the idea is that he will move up and I will be there to help compose the rest of this masterpiece. Uh, so at least that's for me, career wise, and what I see. Uh, I mean, ultimately, uh, he's in his 70s, and he's up early in the morning. He's working late at night. I don't know if I would want that for myself when I'm getting into I guess the twilight of my life. At the same time, I'm not against it. I mean, he lives a very fulfilled life, and he gets to do a lot of fun business things. And actually, something clicked that he told me a while back, which was something along the lines of, well, first of all, he likes golf. So sometimes he'll go golfing, and he'll get to chatting with the people there, and someone might say, oh, well, I was a former managing director of blah 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 blah, or I used to be the CEO of blah 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 blah. And now they're the implication is they're nothing now. They're just retired. They're just there. They're living a leisurely life, whereas he has something to talk about whenever he's golfing. And so I think doing something with my life is going to be nice. And unfortunately, what people get wrong a lot of the times when they think about retirement is that you're going to be kicking back and you're just going to be watching reruns of Seinfeld until you die. And that's probably not the best way to go anyways. You should probably think about how much money do you actually need to save if what you want to do is essentially still do something meaningful that you enjoy, that's not super intensive. I mean, you may not want to be driving cement trucks in your 70s, but if, for example, you're a teacher, I mean, kind of think through, do you want to keep teaching? Do you enjoy going into a classroom? One of the most fulfilled people I knew in my life was one of the high school teachers that I saw running around, Mr. Phillips, probably in his 70s, kind of looks like Ron Paul, white haired, nice, soft spoken gentleman. And he would walk around and he just loved teaching. I mean, granted, he only taught one or two classes, but he was just such a nice man. He was very soft spoken, but he loved going to work. You could tell that he loved educating people. And it didn't matter how much money he saved. I mean, he really enjoyed his work.
Hmm, nice. It's like that kind of springboards to the next one, which is, like, what does success mean to you?
For me, I would say that success is when you can look back on whatever it is that you've done and said, hey, I did well. I was able to do some things I'm really proud of, and I didn't just sit there taking orders or marching around doing my own thing and just kind of did the things that would probably be considered selfish. Instead, I got to do something meaningful. I got to leave behind something that people will appreciate, but also to live a good, happy life. I mean, that's the most important thing, is to find that balance where you're not being completely selfish to the point where you're not going to leave behind anything worth mentioning, and you're also living a life where you're not a slave to that need to do something that is going to be impactful.
Hmm. Nice. You know, do you have anything new coming out? Like, are you doing a conference, doing anything that you like tell people about, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that right now I'm here getting interviewed by you, but I actually run our My Financial Coach live sessions where what I do is I have conversations with leading financial experts, whether they're in investments, retirement, life insurance, lawyers, CPAs, and I essentially ask them questions that individuals want to ask without being sold a product.
Nah.
And so they're not going to sell me anything, of course. I already have it. So I will go ahead and interview them, and people can listen in and they can make their own decisions because I'm going in and I'm interviewing these individuals. And if they are looking for any sort of products and services, at least now they know what a conversation would actually sound like. One of the more interesting people that I just interviewed, and it should be coming out. Okay, so it's let's see, it's June 12th, so it should be coming out towards next week. Actually, I was able to interview Dr. Arthur Laffer, the father of supply side economics. So every so and so we'll get some very interesting guests as well.
Where can they go to find that or to learn more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can go to myfinancialcoach.com, and there is a tab there called My Financial Coach University. We have all our content available at no cost. They can learn about various different financial strategies. We have all of our white papers on there. And also under that tab, there is My Financial Coach Live. All of our episodes are there. People can just listen in on any topic that they'd like to get more knowledge on. And if they feel, hey, I actually think that I want to go out there and hire someone, or they want to speak to an individual, of course, they're more than welcome to look to us. And actually, there have been plenty of times where people have not been a good fit for our company, and we'll usually try to send them to the right people. And for us, it's just, hey, let's try to move the needle for, or move the bar up and move everyone forward.
Yeah. Excellent. Where can people go to connect with you further?
You know, I have a very unique name. I was cursed by it when I was younger because what can I say? It's hard to pronounce my name. But since now I'm in the professional workforce, it's very easy to find me. The name is Enpo, Enpo. Last name is Tu. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Always happy to start a conversation there, and that I think that would probably be the best way to connect with me.
Excellent. Thanks for your time today. I really appreciate speaking with you.
Well, absolutely. Glad to have had this conversation.
Excellent. And for those watching at home, we thoroughly hope that you found this valuable. Now, if you have been searching for a place where, people are improving themselves and helping others do the same, I recommend you go and check out our free community. There's going to be some links either above or below the video. It's basically a mastermind where people come together and support each other every single day. So if that is what you've been searching for, go on ahead and join us inside this community by clicking the links above or below. I cannot wait to see you inside. Now, hopefully you enjoyed watching this as much as we enjoyed creating it. Feel free to hit that share button so other people can get some great value as well. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. We're done recording in 3 and 2 and 1.